Hi guys, welcome back. So not exactly the quality that you're used to on the channel, but I'm traveling for work. As any of you who watch me quite regularly know, that I travel quite frequently. So I'm currently sat in a Crown Plaza and just wanted to get this video out. So Shadowlands, it's quite close, coming soon. I keep getting asked on the stream over on Twitch, by the way, twitch.tv/Scottejaye87, links in the description below. I keep getting asked, am I going to play Shadowlands? Am I going to play Shadowlands, or am I going to stick to Classic, or am I going to be playing TBC private servers, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to be playing Shadowlands, and I think it's a really good time for all of us to be playing Shadowlands. Now, I used to play retail hardcore, and I mean, you know, proper hardcore, up until basically the first week of Legion, when for whatever reason, I don't know, might have been a new job role or something like that. Something happened where I then had to stop playing for a little while. Now, I then didn't return in Legion whatsoever, just purely down to time. Then when I came back to playing BFA not that long ago, a few months ago, I think I'd done a video when I actually tried BFA for the first time. It was good, but you just feel like you're so far behind, you know. You can't fly, you've got to do all the rep grind, you've got no allied races. There's just so much where you're just so far behind. For me, I was just like, do you know what? It was a bit of fun for a couple of weeks, but then I just couldn't carry on. Just because of, that feeling of being behind. And obviously this is coming from someone who, like, looking at my character, you know, up until Legion, you know, I had loads of mounts, loads of pets, loads of achievements. You know, I used to try and get absolutely everything that I could. So then to then look and be like, oh look, this is ridiculous, there's just too much to do. But this is the reason I'm excited for Shadowlands, the level squish. So if we talk about my top 5 reasons I want to play Shadowlands, going down to level 60, I mean, it doesn't really matter, it's only a number in it, you know, whether it says 60 or 120, but I still think that will appeal to a lot of people, and it does to me personally, because when you're like level 1 and you've got 120 levels to do, it don't matter if it takes the same amount of time to do 120 levels as it does 60. The smaller number just it psychologically seems to make a difference, I think. I mean, I'm not going to put that as one of my 5 reasons I'm looking forward to Shadowlands. I mean, yeah, that's just part of it, you know. That's the biggest part of what's going to be happening when the pre-patch hits, basically. But the things I'm excited about, so professions. Now in BFA, everyone I spoke to, like, I've got good friends that, you know, clear Mythic, they do push high keys in Mythic Plus and all of that, and they was like, when I was saying what professions do I need to be, they're like, don't worry about it, it doesn't matter, you know, professions just don't matter. For professions not to matter in a game like World of Warcraft, for me personally, I was like, not enjoying that straight away. So how they've reworked the professions, if you don't know, let me just briefly explain. So it's the professions that actually make the legendary items that everybody's going to want. So obviously tailoring makes the cloth, leatherworking makes the leather, and the mail as well. Obviously blacksmithing makes the plate, and then you've got jewel crafting, which does the ring and neck. But it relies on all the other professions as well. Inscriptioning plays a part in it, enchanting plays a part in it, you know, and then obviously, like I've just said, the main crafting professions as well. But then that makes the gathering professions more valuable as well, because the amount of resources, materials, whatever you want to call them, that are going to be needed across the server, across the whole community, is going to be that much higher. So it's sort of going back, and this is what I really like the look of Shadowlands about. It's going back to a time where I really enjoyed the game. You know, it's very Wrath of the Lich King-esque, but with a little bit more legendaries. For example, you know, obviously they were a thing, but not like this, not where just everybody gets one. But I like the fact that professions all rely on each other. You leveling alts is not as painful, so you can, you know, you can have a gathering alt, you could have a scribe and an enchanting alt, or, you know, whatever you want, because it's not ridiculously like. Let's compare it to Classic at the moment. There's loads of people who've got multiple level 60s, and I applaud your efforts, but I've got 160, and I've never had more than 160 on it. I think the highest I got an ult to was like 48, because it's just too painful. I just can't be bothered with it, you know. But whereas at least with Shadowlands, well, even from pre-patch, as I say, pre-patch will be a good time to come back and start leveling your character, because you're going to get the new leveling experience, which, again, that's not going to be one of my top 5, but it's still worth talking about. You know, you've got a brand new sort of new player zone that they get sort of chucked into, and it's even got their own newcomer chat as well, so they're not getting overwhelmed with everything, which I think is quite good. And I think that is something that can happen. It happened to my brother who quit around the same time as me during Legion. He came back to BFA for about 3 days and was like, don't even know where to start, don't know what to do, there's too much going on. You know, we came back in 8.3, so, you know, right at the end, which probably, you know, shame on us, we should have been playing sooner, but obviously I've been playing TBC, as if you watch the channel a lot, you'll know, obviously the majority of the content on it is TBC at the moment, but it's going to be TBC and Shadowlands going forward. When Wrath of the Lich King's on the horizon, then obviously it will switch from TBC to Wrath, but, you know, fairly straightforward. So, 1, professions, definitely. Then the unpruning of abilities. So again, if you don't know, you're gonna have to check your I might even do a video on all the classes. I'm sure there's loads out there already, but you know, it'd be nice to get on this channel anyway of the changes to each of the classes. So for example, I'm torn at the moment between Monk and Hunter, but you know, Monk has had Touch of Death reworked, and it's all they've done really is gone back to where it used to be, and it was in a good place. You're getting a defensive cooldown back, which obviously it increases your max health, so you can use that alongside Touch of Death to get bigger damage, something that everybody used to do. They used to use it with that or Touch of Karma, because Touch of Karma, obviously the more health you've got, the more damage you reflect when you're absorbing. They've obviously also used things from Legion, like took it, you know, embedded some what used to be legendary passives, if you like, and you know, they now might be a talent, or you know, baked into an ability. So they're sort of taking the best of everything, you know, but the fact that they're going a little bit backwards is the right way to go, which is not normal for games. You know, for normal games you wouldn't go, oh yeah, let's go back. Well, actually, Star Wars Galaxies you would have, because post CU was rubbish, but that's a different story. But you know, you want to move forward, you want new content, you want this, but they're actually doing it for the right reasons. And I think they've took all their learnings from Classic, you know, and I think TBC. I've got a video lined up that I'm going to be putting out about TBC and whether it could actually destroy the Classic community, which is going to be quite. Bearing in mind, I love TBC and I've been playing it for about the last, well, obviously, other than playing it during retail when it was current content, I've been playing on private servers for over a year now as well, and really enjoying it. But there are some worries. I've got some worries which I want to talk about. Not in this video. So Shadowlands. So professions. Unpruning, so we now have more utility, we can be more useful to our raid, we can synergize better with other classes, you know, all of that, and PvP, it's going to affect PvP massively as well, you know, if you're an arena player specifically. I also like, this is coming in the pre-patch, and it's not a big one, but it is for someone like me or another returning player or a brand new player, you know, the fact that they're removing the achievement requirement for flying in places like Legion zones, because it almost forces you to not do that zone, especially with the new leveling experience. So if you're not aware, the new leveling experience, you basically get to 10 and then you go and speak to Chromie and you do like a time walking campaign. You pick what expansion you want to go and do and it'll get you to 50. That's pretty much it. If you can't fly in Legion, but you can fly in Outland, Northrend and all these other places, are you really going to go and do the Legion zones? I wouldn't. So obviously that's a good move, but it's also something where when I wanted to go around and get some achievements for that couple of weeks that I went back to BFA, I didn't want to go and get achievements in Legion because I couldn't be bothered to do the rep grinds or anything because I didn't play in Legion other than the first week, you know, and it's even BFA to a certain extent, you know, it's quite not long and gruesome, but it's not that great, you know, to be able to fly in BFA. Especially when you're so far behind anyway, so it's just like, I can't be bothered, I'll just get summoned or jump on 2 people mounts and stuff like that, you know. But so that's a good move. So I like the returning player feel. That's how I would probably word it. The fact that you can come back to the game in Shadowlands and more or less everything before it is kind of irrelevant, which I think that's absolutely, you know, amazing. As I say, for me, as someone who's missed 2 expansions, to be able to come back to Shadowlands and more or less be level pegging with everybody else, and none, you know, none of the previous content matters, it is brilliant. And the reason I say that as well is because even when it comes down to professions, you know, things like alchemy. So as alchemy in Shadowlands, you know, you can only use Shadowlands potions, Shadowlands elixirs, Shadowlands flasks. All of the previous stuff is irrelevant. So it's not even like, you know, oh, well, I can't go alchemy because, you know, these potions from Legion are really good, I need to go and do this rep. You know, there's none of that. So I do like what I'm hearing, you know, and I'm on the Shadowlands beta. I've been playing it a little bit, don't get me wrong, and I'm liking what I'm seeing as well. And then this one, it's not new to Shadowlands, don't get me wrong, but for someone who's been playing Classic and TBC, it is going to make my life so much easier because, as you know, I stream, get a lot of people from the stream, see what server I'm on, they're like, oh, can I come play, you know, and then they come and they join the guild and blah 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 blah, which you're all more than welcome to. Obviously, it's an amazing community, feel free to pop in. But having flex flexible raids is a big deal for me now than it ever has been. And I know, you know, you're going to flame me in the comments and go, well, this is not new, it's been around for years. Yeah, it's been around for years, but I've not had the pleasure of it for years, since, yeah, obviously since Warlords of Draenor when I was raiding. But that really appeals to me, and the fact that the heroic raids are actually higher eye level than the Mythic Plus dungeons, only by 3, but still higher item level, you know, that's great. Whereas, you know, we might have been doing lots of Mythic Plus. If I was playing BFA on the stream, we'd be doing lots of Mythic Plus, no point raiding, you know, better to just get geared in Mythic Plus. It really limits what you can do as a group. You know, there's no point getting 15 of you, 10, 15, 20 of you to go and do heroic raiding when you can just do Mythic Plus as 5 of you. It's easier. And the fact that people can just jump in, could be halfway through a raid, and then a few people, you know, jump on the stream and they're like, oh, can I come? And they can just jump in. Again, that's a very personal reason, you know, because I appreciate not everybody watches this is streaming and has that issue. But for me, the actual flexibility of end game in Shadowlands, and again, in previous expansions we've had the same, but it's even more so in Shadowlands with things like Torghast, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like a never-ending, well, it is ending actually, but it was sold as a never-ending dungeon, but it's pretty much, you know, a big long dungeon crawl up different bloody levels, and it gets progressively harder. You get anima skills and stuff like that. Again, might be something I do a video on in the future, but yeah, that is one that I'm excited about. So if I had to say my number 4, I would say Torghast, but the overall end game experience, the fact that, you know, I can do end game with 5 people or 10 people or 15 or 20, 25, you know, and the content is hopefully going to be challenging. We will be Mythic raiding, obviously, but, you know, those fun Friday night drunken raids where you can just go into, even normal, just go in a normal raid with however many of you as you want, and just get drunk and smash some bosses in the face. You know, it's great. And then lastly for me is, this is not one that I would have expected to be putting on this list. So don't get me wrong, it's not as big as like the profession changes or the level squish or the unpruning of abilities and things like that, but just I like the way they've done it, and that's the weekly vault. So if you don't know what a weekly vault is, you know, at the moment in BFA you get a chest, you know, you do your objectives for the week, so your Mythic Plus dungeons and blah blah blah, and then obviously you'll get a random item. In Shadowlands it's less random, so as you've probably heard, you know, I'm sure you've watched loads of Shadowlands videos, so like Preach, etc., you know, they've probably explained this in much more detail than I'm about to, but you know, you're gonna get less loot from Mythic Plus. There's only 1 item per Mythic Plus that drops between 5 people, so your chances of getting an item are massively reduced compared to what it is in BFA. But you now get more choice when it comes to your chest at the end of the reset, depending on what you do. So if you do sort of high level raiding, that'll unlock 3 options. If you do, you know, higher level mythic keys, most people are going to be doing early on and probably throughout the expansion anyway, because, you know, it is a big part of the content now. You're going to get a further 3 options, and then for higher level PvP you get another 3 options. So you still only get 1 item, but you now get such a wide variety of options that you'll get the item that you want, hopefully. Yeah, you know, odds are you'll get the item that you want. And the good thing is as well, there's no dupes, you know, so you're not going to get like 2 sets of gloves, 2 sets of legs, you know, it's going to be all completely unique items. I think that's really good. So that would be my 5th. The 5th, you know, I said I'll give you my top 5. That would be my number 5, would be the weekly vault, because I like the way they've done it. So this wasn't meant to be like, you know, this is why you should play Shadowlands. This is more for if you're a returning player and you're on the fence, like, you know, should I go back and play it, or should I just wait for Classic TBC? Should I keep playing Classic where, you know, you've already got the community and all that sort of thing? Absolutely, you can do that if you want. I'm not. I'm going to Shadowlands. I'm excited for Shadowlands. I think it's a fresh start for anybody who wants to play retail again and enjoys, you know, the combat and everything. You know, it all flows nice, and, you know, lots of collectibles. There's a lot of reasons to play Shadowlands. Well, a lot of reasons to play retail in general. But yeah, they're my 5 reasons I'm going to play. You know, let me know why you're excited to play and if you're going to play. And as I say, I'm going to be literally streaming exclusively, more or less now, retail. So BFA, obviously, until Shadowland comes out, and then Shadowlands exclusively. So if you want to come over and say hello, Scottejaye 87 on Twitch. Peace out.